All right, everybody. This is Matthew Troop, host of the Entrepreneur Breakaway podcast. Podcast number seven. And changing the intro up a little bit. Got some new jams, just starting it out. Today's March 8th, 2022. And podcast number 7. And today I want to talk about doubling down on your efforts. And I just got back this past week from a week down in Texas, a week down in Texas and Georgia. Flew to both states, got a lot of stuff in the works down there. And during the process down there, basically scoping out projects, scoping out investments, just getting my hands and eyes on everything that I got going on down there with my partners. And one of the things that I realized when I was down there was these things that we're working on, right? We sometimes have a tendency to do this. We work on things and we get distracted. We're working on something, we don't finish it, start a new project, get distracted, start a new project. And pretty soon, sometimes it's, all over the place. And I've heard this analogy before that when you're building something, when you're building a business, when you're building a new venture, when you're building something, it's like you're on an island, right? It's like you're on an island and you're slowly building bridges off that island to connect to a new island, right? You're expanding your process. So we're building these bridges off of our metaphorical island, right? In our business, in our path, and our ventures, we're building these off. And say you're building one, right? You're building in a business in one direction, and you start something new, right? So you have to allocate resources to that new one, right? And you have to stop building on this one for the moment and reallocate resources over here to this new bridge you're building. And, the analogy or example I'll use in this is, I'm working on one business and I get, somebody pings me like, hey, we want to start this. I want to start this with you. What do you think about doing this? I'm like, yeah, that's a cool idea. But I sit here and I have to say no, right? It's strategic no's where you sit here and you say, no, I'm working on this business. I'm focused on this because if I stop building that bridge and start this new idea, I'm going to have to reallocate resources. I'm going to have to reallocate my energy to go someplace else. And when you do that, you basically, you get a little lost. And that's where I come back to the idea of doubling down. And when I was down there, I realized the potential that I have for this business and the potential it has to keep going with this and keep building with this, because this is what happens in business. Something doesn't work right away. Something doesn't work. And, we're 3 months in, we're 2 months in, we're 6 months in, sometimes a year in, right? And things are going and it's just not working. Or it's not necessarily that it's not working, but it's just you're not getting the results that you want. And what ends up happening is we switch. It's like you lose faith in that, when realistically that thing that we're working on, you could have been like, right, the analogy is 3 feet from gold, where the returns from that thing that you were working on could have really worked if you'd have doubled down, and really put some hard energy into that. And I think I see this a lot in entrepreneurs where, jump from one thing to another, and it's not sticking with it for the long term. And so when I was down there, I talked a lot about this with my partners, of sitting here saying, okay, here's we put processes together. We put new plans in on who's going to do what, on, how these roles are going to be played, and really coming to the idea of sticking to this, because we're about to have, 3 or 4 months in, we're about to turn over a huge project that's going to have great results. So we sit here and we say, okay, we've landed on something where I think before, this is even a lesson for me, but I put this out there. I think before I may have had a result like that and sat there and jumped to something else quickly, versus saying, I'm going to take this and I'm going to compound it, and I'm going to compound it. I'm going to compound it. I'm going to double down and work it even more. And this was just such a great realization to come away from having a week down there, spending a week with great partners, spending a week looking at all the projects and things that, I invest long distance, and, these states I invest in, 5, 6 states away down south from where I'm at in Michigan, and I can't always get my hands on it. So to be able to go down there and see and get your hands on what you're doing, we just sat there and we looked at these things and we got our hands on it, and we came to the idea of, we're going all in on this. And when you go all in, it's the another analogy of, you burn the boats. You get to the beach and you burn the boats, because you're not retreating. You're not going back from this. And when you go into business, you may feel that. You will. It's sometimes like you have to put blinders on. You have to be laser focused and sit here and say, I'm focused on doing this. This is what I'm going to work on. I'm giving myself years to work at this and build this. Because if you don't do that, it's just hopping from one thing to the next hot thing to the next hot thing. And it's really the time of what it takes to build these things out. So with whatever you're working on, whatever your business, really, really take a look at it. And again, this goes back to ideas before, of really take a look at it. Is this thing going to be the thing that you are focused on building out into the years to come? Is it the thing that fills you full of energy? Is it the thing that you're going to be able to sit here and say, yes, this is going to create the financial security, the future opportunities for my growth? Is it going to be able to do that for you in a successful way that you're going to be able to work this long term? Really look at it. How does it play into your vision? How does it play into your life? How does it play into your goals? And if it hits all that criteria, you really have to double down on it. You have to say, this is what I'm going to work on. And, in the life of an entrepreneur, it's what comes up. People start to see you have success. People start to see you do things and see the moves that you're making, and you're creating results, and they say, I want to be a part of that. I want to start to work with this guy, or I want to tap into, and I want to be in a partnership with this guy. And it's exciting, and it's opportunistic. And I'll use that word opportunistic, which is it's a beauty and a curse being an entrepreneur. Because as an entrepreneur, you have to be opportunistic. You have to have a mindset of sitting here saying, I see the opportunity in this. I see what this could create. but it may not be that thing that you've really got to double down on. It may be that bridge that you're trying to build that's going to pull resources away from the bridge that you're already getting somewhere on. So think about this, doubling down, figure out what you're working on, figuring out how to put some blinders on where you don't see all the things, where you see the things, but you sit here and you say, no, I'm laser focused. I'm getting laser focused in, and I'm staying on this path and doubling down on this specific thing that I'm working on this project, on this business, on this venture. This is the thing that I'm going after. And I'm not turning it around because I see, I see the opportunity in this, and I see what I started and what I wanted to create, and I'm going to see it until fruition. So I hope this was helpful. I know this was a quick one, but sometimes quick gets you results. Quick gets you the answer on something you're looking for. So whatever you're working on, double down on it. Figure out the results you want to, and keep going after it. All right, everybody. This is Matt Troop, the Entrepreneur Breakaway Podcast, number 7. See you next time.